The War Council chamber floated in the void between stars, a monument to galactic peace that had lasted 10,000 years. Today, that peace died. 200 human warships surrounded the ancient structure, their weapons armed and targeting systems locked. No species had ever dared bring weapons into this sacred, neutral space. Until now. General Adam Cole walked through the main entrance alone. His boots echoed against polished floors that had seen countless diplomatic victories. The scars on his face told a different story than the sculptures of peaceful negotiations that lined the walls. 5 years ago, the Dominion Alliance had reduced Earth's greatest cities to radioactive craters. 3 billion humans died in the first week. Cole's family was among them. The massive chamber doors opened to reveal thousands of alien representatives seated in circular tiers. At the center stood High Chancellor Braun, his reptilian bulk draped in ceremonial robes that sparkled with achieved honors. The Caveshe leader had personally authorized the Earth invasion. Intelligence reports confirmed it. Intercepted communications proved it. Now he would answer for it. Ambassador Rith approached Cole with her 4 arms spread in traditional Thalian greeting. Her blue skin seemed pale today. She had tried everything to prevent this confrontation through proper channels. Cole respected her efforts. He ignored them anyway. General Cole, please reconsider this action. Violence in the council chambers violates every treaty humanity signed when joining the galactic community. Cole kept walking toward the center platform. We signed those treaties believing the galaxy operated on principles of law and mutual respect. You taught us otherwise when you burned our world. Braun's voice boomed across the chamber, amplified by ancient acoustic engineering. The human speaks of respect while his fleet threatens this sacred space. Your presence here is an act of war, General. No, Cole reached the center and stood directly before the Chancellor. What you did to Earth was an act of war. This is the consequence. Holographic displays activated around the chamber. Cole's tactical officer, Captain Diana Ross, transmitted from the flagship Retribution. The images showed Earth before the invasion, gleaming cities, green forests, blue oceans. Then the bombardment footage began, orbital strikes turning hospitals into slag, schools. Vaporized midday while children sat in classrooms. Residential districts targeted deliberately, efficiently, completely. The chamber fell silent. Some representatives had been told Earth posed a military threat requiring preemptive action. The footage showed something different. It showed genocide. You attacked civilian population centers for 3 weeks, Cole said. His voice remained steady, but his hands trembled. Your commanders followed protocols designed for maximum psychological damage. Break the spirit, destroy the culture, eliminate the future. Standard Dominion doctrine for conquering resistant worlds. Braun shifted his massive weight. Earth refused to submit to galactic authority. Your species rejected integration and threatened regional stability. The Council voted to authorize corrective measures. Corrective measures? Cole laughed without humor. My daughter was 8 years old. Her school was a corrective measure. The hospital where my wife worked as a doctor was a corrective measure. The retirement home where my parents lived was a corrective measure. You murdered 3 billion people because we wanted to govern ourselves. A smaller alien in the upper tiers stood. Officer Pell was an insectoid from a species that had abstained from the invasion vote. His multifaceted eyes recorded everything. General Cole, while the Council sympathizes with Earth's losses, surely diplomatic solutions exist. Reparations could be negotiated. Cultural exchanges could heal wounds. Time could bring forgiveness. Cole turned to face Pell directly. You assume we came here seeking negotiation. We did not. You assume we came seeking reparations. We did not. You assume we came seeking forgiveness. We absolutely did not. He activated his own holographic display. The human fleet surrounding the Council station appeared in perfect detail, but these were not the same 200 ships that had arrived. During his speech, another 200 had jumped into the system. Then another 200. The display updated in real time. 600 human warships now encircled the Council. 5 years ago, you taught humanity a valuable lesson, Cole continued. You taught us that the galaxy respects only power, that treaties mean nothing without force to back them, that mercy is weakness and compassion is vulnerability. We learned well. Braun's confidence flickered. You cannot threaten this council. We represent 400 species, billions of warriors, thousands of worlds. Humanity is one small planet barely recovering from justified military action. Justified? The word seemed to physically pain Cole. You keep using that word. I want you to understand something, Chancellor. We spent 5 years studying your technology. We reverse-engineered every weapons system from the ships we destroyed during your retreat. We combined your technology with human innovation and something you cannot quantify. Rage. Pure, refined, focused rage. The displays changed again. Specifications for new human weapons scrolled past. Shield systems that absorbed and redirected energy attacks. Kinetic cannons that bypassed conventional defenses. Targeting AI that predicted enemy movements 3 steps ahead. Medical technology that kept wounded soldiers fighting through injuries that would kill any other species. We did not come here to negotiate, Cole said quietly. We came to deliver an ultimatum. You have 48 hours to surrender every individual who authorized, planned, or executed the Earth invasion. They will face trial on human soil under human law. You will demilitarize the Dominion Alliance fleet by 70%. You will pay reparations calculated at the economic value of 3 billion human lives plus reconstruction costs. Braun's roar shook the chamber. Impossible. The Council will never submit to human demands. You overestimate your position, General. Cole smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. Then I will demonstrate exactly what position humanity holds. Captain Ross, begin the demonstration. Outside the Council station, Braun's personal defense fleet moved to intercept the human ships. 500 Dominion vessels against 600 human craft. The Caveshee Chancellor expected easy victory through superior numbers and experience. He was about to learn why attacking Earth had been the worst decision in galactic history. Captain Diana Ross watched the enemy fleet approach through displays that turned the Bridge of Retribution into a 3-dimensional battlefield. 500 Caveshee warships moved in traditional formation, their commanders confident in numerical advantage and centuries of military doctrine. They had never fought humans before. They had no idea what was coming. All ships acknowledge battle readiness, Ross transmitted across the human fleet. 600 confirmations. Returned within seconds. Every vessel carried crews who had lost someone in the Earth invasion. Every captain commanded with personal motivation that went beyond duty. This was not just military action. This was payback. The Caveshee fleet opened fire first. Energy beams that could slice through planetary crust lanced toward human positions. Standard galactic warfare doctrine said shields would fail, hulls would breach, ships would die. The doctrine was wrong. Human shields did not just block the attacks. They absorbed them. New technology reverse-engineered from captured systems and improved by Earth's best scientists turned enemy fire into stored energy. When the first Caveshee volley dissipated harmlessly against human defenses, confusion rippled through the alien fleet. Return fire, Ross ordered calmly. Kinetic rounds pattern 7. Human ships did not carry energy weapons as their primary armament. Instead, they launched solid metal slugs accelerated to a fraction of light speed. The Caveshee had designed their shields to deflect energy. They had not anticipated physical projectiles moving fast enough to punch clean through their defenses. 3 Caveshee destroyers exploded in the first human volley. Their shields flickered uselessly as tungsten rods tore through hulls and detonated fuel reserves. The Dominion formation scattered, captains shouting contradictory orders as their tactical assumptions collapsed. Inside the council chamber, Braun watched through trembling hands as his fleet died. The holographic displays showed every detail in horrifying clarity. His ships, his people, his military doctrine, all failing against an enemy they had dismissed as primitive barely 5 years ago. Impossible, he whispered. They were decades behind our technology. They should not have advanced this far. Cole stood beside him, watching with cold eyes. You are correct. Under normal circumstances, humanity would need 50 years to match your capabilities. But circumstances stopped being normal when you murdered our children. Desperation accomplishes what comfort never could. The battle continued outside. Human ships moved in ways that violated traditional combat theory. They broke formation deliberately, creating chaos that confused Caveshee targeting systems. Individual vessels performed high-risk maneuvers that should have resulted in collisions, but instead created perfect firing solutions. The coordination was impossible without AI assistance, far beyond what galactic law permitted. You are using unrestricted artificial intelligence in combat roles, Ambassador Rith said. Her voice carried accusation and horror in equal measure. That technology was banned after the Synthesis Wars. The entire galaxy agreed it was too dangerous. Ross answered through the open communication channel. The entire galaxy also agreed that targeting civilian populations was too dangerous. Yet here we are. You broke the rules first, Ambassador. We just broke them better. A Caveshy heavy cruiser attempted a ramming attack, its captain choosing honorable death over continued humiliation. The human frigate in its path did not attempt evasion. Instead, it rotated to present its reinforced bow and accelerated into the collision. The ships met in a cascade of torn metal and explosive decompression. The Caveshy cruiser broke apart. The human frigate's bow crumpled, but the vessel remained operational. Its crew reported 70% casualties, then requested permission to continue fighting. Ross granted it. The frigate limped back into formation and resumed firing with its remaining weapons. Your people are insane, Braun said. That ship is crippled. Why do they not withdraw? Because withdrawal means the enemy lives, Cole replied. Because we remember what you did. Because we will never give you the opportunity to do it again. That ship has 300 crew remaining from an original complement of 800. Those 300 will keep fighting until their vessel is vapor or every enemy is dead. Then their survivors will request reassignment to another ship and do it again. The Caveshy formation attempted to reorganize around their flagship, a massive dreadnought that had served in 40 successful campaigns. Its commander was legendary, his tactics studied in military academies across 20 species. He ordered a fighting retreat toward the Council station, hoping human reluctance to endanger the diplomatic structure would limit their aggression. He had badly misjudged human willingness to risk collateral damage. Ross coordinated an envelopment that trapped the dreadnought between the Council station and advancing human forces. When the Caveshy commander threatened to fire on the station itself, unless given safe passage, she laughed. General Cole is inside that station, she transmitted on open channels. If you destroy it, you kill the man responsible for this entire operation. We will mourn him, build monuments in his honor, and then systematically exterminate every Caveshy in the galaxy. Your choice, Commander. The bluff worked. The dreadnought surrendered. Its commander could not fathom soldiers willing to sacrifice their own general. He did not understand that humanity had already sacrificed billions. One more death, even a general's, meant nothing compared to the mission. Within 30 minutes, the Caveshy defense fleet ceased to exist. 200 ships destroyed, 300 surrendered. Human losses totaled 18 vessels with 7,000 casualties. By any military metric, it was a slaughter. Braun collapsed into his ceremonial seat. His government had sent that fleet with full confidence in victory. Now it was debris and prisoners. The Chancellor's political position, built over 3 decades of successful military expansion, crumbled in half an hour. Cole touched a control panel. The holographic display changed to show not just the local battle, but the wider galaxy. Human fleets were emerging from jump points across Dominion space. Earth had not sent 600 ships to the Council. Earth had mobilized everything. 48 hours, Cole repeated. Surrender the criminals who ordered the Earth invasion. Demilitarize your fleets, pay reparations, or we will do to your worlds what you did to ours. We have nothing left to lose, Chancellor, do you? The chamber filled with panicked voices as species representatives realized they were not watching a negotiation. They were watching the birth of a new galactic order, written in fire and human determination. The emergency council session began 3 hours after the battle ended. Representatives who had spent careers building diplomatic consensus now scrambled to save their own species from human retaliation. The chamber that once echoed with measured debate now rang with accusations and desperate bargaining. Ambassador Rith stood before her own delegation, her 4 arms trembling with suppressed emotion. We must comply with human demands. My government authorized me to offer full cooperation, including surrender of our officials who participated in the Earth invasion planning. A crystalline being from the Shard Collective pulsed with agitated colors. You would betray your own people to satisfy human bloodlust. They demonstrated illegal weapons technology and violated every treaty governing warfare. We should unite against this threat, not submit to it. Cole listened from his position near the chamber's center. He had not moved since the battle ended. Food and water had been offered. He refused both. Sleep was impossible anyway. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw his daughter's school burning. Officer Pell approached cautiously, his insectoid features unreadable to human eyes, but his body language clearly non-threatening. General, I have been documenting everything since your arrival. With your permission, I would like to understand your thinking. What do you hope to achieve beyond punishment? Prevention, Cole said simply. Every species in this galaxy now understands the cost of attacking Earth. They understand that human patience has limits. They understand that we will pursue justice across any distance, through any obstacle, for as long as necessary. Justice or vengeance? Is there a difference when 3 billion of your people are dead? Pell considered this. My species remained neutral during the Earth invasion. We opposed the action but lacked military power to intervene. Does humanity hold us accountable for our inaction? Cole studied the small alien. Intelligence reports said Pell's homeworld had sheltered human refugees who escaped the bombardment. Quiet acts of mercy that violated Dominion orders. No, we researched every species' voting record and actions during the invasion. Some of you tried to help within your limitations. We remember that too. The session continued with species dividing into clear factions. The Thalians and 6 other species offered immediate compliance with human demands. They would surrender officials, accept demilitarization, begin reparation payments. Desperation made them cooperative. Bronze faction, representing the core Dominion alliance, rejected everything. The Caveshie Chancellor stood before the Assembly with restored defiance. Humanity has shown its true nature today. They are warmongers hiding behind claims of justice. They used banned AI technology, engaged in total warfare against military targets near civilian structures, and threatened genocide against my species. The Council must recognize them as the actual threat to galactic peace. Captain Ross appeared on the holographic display, her face showing 3 days without sleep. Chancellor Braun raises interesting points. We did use unrestricted AI. We did engage in total warfare. We did threaten genocide. All tactics the Dominion Alliance employed against Earth first. We are simply proving we learned from expert teachers. You cannot justify your actions by citing ours, Braun shouted. 2 wrongs do not create a right. No, Cole agreed. But they do create equality. For 10,000 years, this council operated on the assumption that primitive species could be conquered without consequence. Earth was supposed to be another easy acquisition. Resources extracted, population enslaved or eliminated, territory absorbed. Standard procedure according to your own military manuals, which we also captured and studied. He activated new displays. Document after document showed Dominion expansion over the past millennium. 37 species conquered. Populations reduced by military action or forced assimilation. Worlds stripped of resources and abandoned. All approved by council vote. All legally sanctioned under galactic law. You built an empire on the corpses of species too weak to resist, Cole continued. You wrote laws that made your atrocities legal. You created a system where might determined right. We did not start this cycle. We are ending it. A delegate from the methane breathers, silicon-based life forms who existed in toxic atmospheres, spoke through translation software. If humanity seeks to end the cycle of violence, why bring more violence? Why not pursue legal reformation through proper channels? Because proper channels failed Earth when we needed them, Ross answered. We sent distress signals during the invasion. We broadcast evidence of civilian targeting. We begged for intervention under the very treaties that supposedly protected developing species. The Council received our signals. Intelligence confirms it. You chose to ignore them because helping us was politically inconvenient. Shocked silence filled the chamber. Some representatives had genuinely not known about the ignored distress calls. Others shifted uncomfortably, their guilty knowledge now exposed. Rith's blue skin flushed darker with shame. Ambassador Rith, Cole said quietly, did your government receive Earth's distress signals? She met his gaze directly. Yes, we received them. My predecessor argued for immediate intervention. The council majority voted to observe non-interference protocols. By the time we gained authorization to act, the bombardment had ended. Thank you for your honesty. Cole's voice carried no anger toward her specifically. This is why we brought the fleet. This is why we made demands backed by overwhelming force. because asking nicely got 3 billion humans killed while the galaxy watched and did nothing. Braun attempted to regain control. Even if the Council failed Earth, your response is disproportionate. You cannot hold all of us accountable for complex political decisions made under difficult circumstances. Watch us, Ross said simply. The displays updated again. Human fleets had reached 6 Dominion homeworlds. They established orbital positions above capital cities. No shots fired yet, but weapons armed and targeting solutions locked. The message was clear: comply or suffer Earth's fate. The Council chamber erupted in chaos. Species that had supported the Earth invasion now faced immediate threat. Their populations looked to government for protection that could not be provided. The military power that had conquered 37 species proved useless against an enemy that fought without honor, without mercy, without hesitation. Cole let them panic for 5 minutes, then activated the sound dampeners. Silence fell like a physical weight. 40 hours remain, he said. I suggest you spend them wisely. Rith found Cole in an observation deck overlooking the Council station's gardens. Alien plants from 1,000 worlds grew in careful harmony, a living symbol of galactic cooperation. The irony was not lost on either of them. I brought information, Rith said, extending a data chip. Official records my government kept regarding the Earth invasion. We documented everything, believing someday it might matter. I hope it helps your tribunal. Cole took the chip without examining it. Why help us? Your species will face consequences too. Because it is right. Her 4 arms folded in a gesture of resignation. My clutch sister died 3 years ago. She was a xenobiologist studying Earth's ocean ecosystems. When your planet sent distress signals, she begged our government to intervene. They transferred her to a remote research station for causing political embarrassment. She died in an accident there. I do not believe it was truly an accident. I am sorry for your loss, as I am for yours, but sorrow changes nothing without action. I cannot undo what my government did. I can only ensure the truth is known. They stood in silence, watching automated systems tend plants that had outlived the civilizations that cultivated them. Eventually, Rith spoke again. What will you do after the 40 hours expire if Braun refuses to surrender? We proceed to Caveshe Prime. We demonstrate on his homeworld exactly what Earth endured. Then we ask again. That would kill billions. Yes, you would become what you hate. Cole turned to face her directly. I already am what I hate. I am a man who sends young soldiers to die for political objectives. I am a commander who calculates acceptable casualties. I am a general who threatens genocide to achieve diplomatic goals. The only question is whether I have the strength to follow through. You still have choice, General. You can show mercy. Mercy is what the galaxy showed Earth. It came too late and meant nothing. Rith's translator software struggled with her next words, heavy with emotion that did not translate cleanly. Then humanity will create new enemies, species who submit now but remember their humiliation, children who grow up hating Earth for what you did to their parents. The cycle continues. Perhaps, but this time Earth will be strong enough to survive it. Back in the council chamber, Officer Pell had organized the fractured assembly into working groups. The insectoid possessed a talent for bureaucratic organization that made him invaluable during crisis. He had separated species into categories based on their involvement in Earth's invasion. Primary perpetrators, those who authorized and executed the attack. Secondary participants, those who provided material support. Passive observers, those who knew but did nothing. Active opponents, those who argued against the action. Each group faced different terms under human demands. Braun's faction argued these distinctions were meaningless, that humanity sought to divide the council and conquer it piecemeal. They were absolutely correct. Ross had designed the strategy specifically to fracture alliance unity. A delegate from the helium floaters, gaseous beings who communicated through electromagnetic pulses, addressed Braun directly. Chancellor, your pride is understandable but impractical. The humans have superior force positioned above 6 of our homeworlds. They have demonstrated willingness to use that force. Continued resistance guarantees our destruction. Submission guarantees our subjugation, Braun countered. Today they demand trials and reparations. Tomorrow they demand territory. Next year they demand tribute. This is how empires begin. We must resist while we still can. You assume humanity wants an empire, Pell interjected. Have they demanded territory? Have they claimed ownership of conquered vessels? Have they installed occupation forces on defeated worlds? Braun hesitated. Intelligence reports confirmed human fleets had destroyed or captured hundreds of Dominion ships but claimed none of them. Prisoners were processed and released. No annexation demands had been made. The behavior did not match standard Imperial expansion patterns. They want something worse than territory, Braun decided. They want submission. They want the galaxy to acknowledge human superiority. They want us broken and compliant. Captain Ross appeared on the displays again. She looked even more exhausted than before, but her voice remained steady. The Chancellor is partially correct. We do want acknowledgement, but not of superiority. We want acknowledgement that attacking Earth was wrong. We want acknowledgement that 3 billion deaths demand justice. We want acknowledgement that humanity has the right to exist without fear of extermination. You have that acknowledgement, a delegate from the Silicon Collective said. Multiple species have condemned the invasion. Your point is proven. Condemnation without consequence is empty noise, Ross replied. Earth sent diplomatic protests for 3 weeks during the bombardment. We received polite responses explaining why intervention was legally complicated. Your condemnation saved exactly 0 human lives. Forgive us for requiring more substantial demonstration of galactic sympathy. The working groups continued their negotiations. Species in the active opponent category received offers of alliance and trade partnerships. Earth would help them develop defensive capabilities and share technology. The passive observers faced economic sanctions, but no military action. Secondary participants would pay reparations and accept monitoring of their military forces. Primary perpetrators faced trial, imprisonment, and potential execution under human law. Braun watched his support crumble. Species that had fought beside Caveshy forces for decades now negotiated separate peace. His closest allies prioritized their own survival over alliance loyalty. Within 6 hours, he stood nearly alone. A message arrived from Caveshy Prime. The government that had given Braun unlimited authority to handle the Earth situation now withdrew that authority. They offered to surrender him personally if it would spare their homeworld from attack. Political survival trumped personal loyalty. They betray you, Cole observed, just as you betrayed Earth. Braun's massive form seemed to shrink. I did not betray Earth. I followed established protocols for integrating resistant species. I did my duty. So did the people who will judge you. The survivors of the attack, the families of the dead, the children who grew up orphaned because of your duty. They will follow their protocols for dealing with war criminals. I suspect you will find them just as unpleasant as we found your integration methods. This is not justice, this is revenge. Cole smiled without humor. Finally, you understand. The galaxy spent 10,000 years calling revenge justice when it suited you. We are simply translating back. Outside, human fleets maintained their positions. The deadline continued its countdown. 32 hours remained. The Caveshy Armada arrived 12 hours before the deadline expired. 1,000 warships, the largest military force assembled in a century. They emerged from jump space in perfect formation, their commanders confident that overwhelming numbers would force human retreat. Every available vessel from the Caveshy home fleet, every allied ship from species still loyal to Braun, every mercenary craft that could be hired or threatened into service. Captain Ross watched their arrival without visible concern. Her bridge crew monitored 600 human vessels against 1,000 enemy ships. The numerical disadvantage should have been devastating. Instead, Ross smiled. They brought everything, she said quietly. Perfect. The human fleet began a fighting retreat toward the outer asteroid belt. Caveshy commanders interpreted this as panic and pressed their advantage. They had studied the earlier battle and prepared countermeasures. New shield configurations to deflect kinetic weapons. Updated targeting software to track human evasion patterns. Improved communication protocols to prevent formation disruption. None of it mattered. Human ships led the Caveshy Armada deep into the asteroid field. Mining operations had been underway for weeks, disguised as resource extraction. In reality, humans had planted explosives throughout the region. Fusion charges, antimatter devices, and several experimental weapons that violated multiple galactic prohibitions. The entire asteroid field had become a weapon. Ross gave the signal, the universe became fire. Coordinated detonations turned thousands of asteroids into expanding clouds of superheated debris. Cave-She ships caught in the initial blast wave died instantly, their shields overwhelmed by energies that exceeded any conventional weapon. Those that survived the first wave found themselves trapped in a killing field with nowhere to run. Human vessels emerged from behind planetary shadows and began systematic destruction. They targeted engineering sections, leaving enemy ships crippled but intact. They disabled weapons but preserved life support. This was not about killing Cave-She crews. This was about breaking Cave-She will. Inside the council chamber, Braun watched his armada die. The holographic displays showed carnage on a scale not seen since the ancient wars. 600 ships destroyed in the opening minutes. 300 more crippled and adrift. The survivors attempted to surrender, but human forces ignored the white flags. "They are not accepting surrender," Ambassador Rith whispered. "General Cole, please, enough blood has been spilled." Cole's expression remained carved from stone. "Not yet, not nearly enough." Officer Pell recorded everything with mechanical precision. His multifaceted eyes tracked each destroyed ship, each escape pod jettisoned, each last transmission from doomed crews. This footage would be shown across the galaxy. This would be the lesson future species studied when contemplating aggressive action. The Cave-She flagship, a dreadnought that had served for 2 centuries, attempted a final desperate maneuver. It launched every weapon simultaneously while accelerating directly toward the Council station. A suicide run designed to take human leadership with it. Ross had anticipated this exact scenario. 3 human destroyers intercepted the dreadnought mid-flight. They did not fire weapons. Instead, they rammed the massive vessel from 3 angles simultaneously. The destroyers were smaller, faster, and designed with reinforced bows specifically for collision attacks. All 3 human ships died in the impact. The dreadnought's trajectory shifted by mere degrees. Enough to miss the Council station, but not enough to prevent its ultimate fate. The crippled vessel tumbled into the asteroid field and broke apart. 900 crew on those destroyers, Braun said quietly. You sacrificed 900 soldiers to save this station. No, Cole corrected. I sacrificed 900 soldiers to save you, because you need to live long enough to face trial, because your death in battle would be too easy, because I want you to spend decades in a human prison thinking about what you did. The battle lasted 48 minutes. When it ended, the Cave-She armada had been reduced to scattered wreckage and 300 captured vessels. Human losses totaled 42 ships with 11,000 casualties. The galaxy had never seen such disproportionate victory. Braun's remaining support collapsed entirely. Species that had been arguing for continued resistance moments ago now competed to surrender most enthusiastically. The council chamber became a chorus of capitulation as representatives tripped over each other offering compliance with human demands. Cole let them grovel for 10 minutes, then raised a hand for silence. The deadline is now void. New terms are as follows. All species who participated in the Earth invasion will surrender their military commanders and political leaders who authorized the action. This is non-negotiable. Demilitarization requirements are increased to 80% reduction of offensive capability. Reparation amounts are doubled to account for continued resistance. That is beyond what you originally demanded, a delegate protested weakly. Yes, prices went up when you sent an armada to kill us. Consider it a stupidity tax. Captain Ross transmitted new orders to the human fleets positioned above Dominion homeworlds. They began broadcasting footage of the recent battle on all frequencies. Every planetary communication network received the same message. Your leaders sent their fleet to destroy humanity. This is what happened. Surrender the criminals or watch your cities burn. Planetary governments that had supported their military leadership hours ago suddenly discovered urgent reasons to revoke that support. Police forces received orders to detain specific officials. Security services that had spent careers protecting politicians now arrested them. Self-preservation trumped loyalty across 6 worlds simultaneously. Braun watched his colleagues abandon him through the holographic displays. Allies who had sworn eternal brotherhood now gave interviews condemning his actions. Military commanders who had followed his orders now claimed they had been coerced. The political apparatus he had built over decades dismantled itself in hours. "You destroyed more than my fleet," he said to Cole. "You destroyed the entire structure of galactic power." Yes, that was always the goal. The galaxy operated on assumptions that conquest was acceptable if you were strong enough. That civilian casualties were unfortunate but inevitable. That justice was whatever the powerful said it was. Those assumptions are now void. We are writing new ones. Rith approached with a data pad. "General, my government has authorized full compliance. We will surrender all requested officials within 6 hours. We request permission to begin reparation payments immediately and ask for Earth's guidance on acceptable military force levels going forward." Cole studied her carefully. "You understand this changes everything. Your species will have reduced sovereignty. Human observers will monitor your military. We will have veto power over your foreign policy decisions." "Yes, but we will survive. That matters more than pride." Other species began following Rith's example. One by one, they accepted terms that would have been unthinkable 24 hours ago. The galaxy was reorganizing itself around a new reality. Humanity was no longer a victim. Humanity was the power that enforced consequences. 3 months after the ultimatum, war criminal trials began on Earth. The proceedings were held in New Geneva, built on the ruins of the old city that had been vaporized in the invasion's first hour. Reconstruction crews had worked around the clock to create a courthouse from rubble and loss. The symbolism was deliberate and brutal. Braun stood in a defendant's cage designed for his massive cave-she physiology. 47 other officials occupied similar restraints throughout the courtroom. Human judges, all survivors of the invasion, presided over proceedings that were meticulously legal and absolutely merciless. The prosecution presented evidence that took 6 weeks to fully document: intercepted communications showing deliberate targeting of civilian zones, military reports celebrating successful psychological warfare against Earth's population, economic projections calculating profit from human enslavement. Every piece of data was authenticated, verified, and entered into permanent record. Braun's defense argued he had followed established military doctrine and galactic law. They were technically correct. Under Dominion Alliance legal framework, everything done to Earth was permissible. The judges listened patiently, then explained that Dominion law no longer applied. Earth law did. Under Earth law, deliberately targeting civilians was murder, 3 billion counts of murder. The verdicts came in the 8th week, guilty on all charges. Braun received life imprisonment without possibility of parole or transfer. He would spend his remaining decades in a human facility, surrounded by the species he had tried to exterminate, living with the consequences of his choices. Smaller officials received lesser sentences. Some were acquitted when evidence showed they had opposed the invasion but been overruled. Officer Pell attended every day of trial, documenting proceedings for historical record. His reports were broadcast across the galaxy without censorship or commentary. Captain Diana Ross stood at the memorial wall in what had been her hometown. 60,000 names carved into black stone, every resident who died when orbital bombardment turned the city into glass. She found her parents' names near the bottom of the 3rd panel. Her younger brother's name appeared on the children's section. He had been 12. General Adam Cole approached quietly. They stood together in silence, 2 soldiers who had won their war but lost what they fought for. "The council approved our proposal," Cole said eventually. "Permanent human seat with veto power over military actions. New protocols requiring intervention when civilian populations are targeted. Mandatory war crime tribunals for violations." "Will it matter?" Ross asked. "Laws did not save Earth. Why should they save anyone else?" "Because now we enforce them. Species will think twice knowing humanity responds to atrocity with overwhelming force. Fear accomplishes what honor could not. We have become the very thing we fought against." Cole considered this. "Perhaps, but we are the thing that ensures Earth never burns again. I can live with that." Across the galaxy, the new order took shape. Human fleets established permanent stations in strategic locations. Species that complied with demilitarization requirements received protection and trade. Benefits: those that resisted faced economic isolation and military pressure. The system was not subtle, but it was effective. Ambassador Rith worked from a new embassy on Earth's rebuilt capital. Her government had fully submitted to human oversight in exchange for survival. She spent her days negotiating agreements that balanced Thalian interests with human security requirements. It was humbling work, but she approached it with determination. "My people call me a collaborator," she admitted during a diplomatic function. "They say I sold our sovereignty to satisfy human revenge." Cole, attending the same function, overheard, "What do you say?" "I say they are alive to complain because I made hard choices. Sovereignty means nothing if your species is extinct." "That is the lesson we tried to teach. I am sorry it required such harsh demonstration." Rith's four arms gestured in Thalian acceptance. "My clutch sister would have approved. She believed in justice over politics. She died because others disagreed. Now the galaxy operates on her principles instead of theirs." Officer Pell published his comprehensive documentary 6 months after the trials concluded. The footage showed everything from Cole's initial ultimatum through the space battles, the trials, and the reconstruction efforts. It became required viewing in schools across hundreds of worlds. Young aliens watched human determination and learned fear. They watched the consequences of attacking Earth and learned respect. Some watched with resentment, planning future revenge. Others watched with understanding, recognizing that humanity had responded to nightmare with the only language the galaxy understood. Cole retired from military service 2 years after the Council confrontation. He had accomplished his mission. The individuals responsible for Earth's devastation faced justice. The systems that enabled the attack had been reformed. Humanity held power sufficient to prevent repeat occurrences. But victory felt hollow when he visited the memorials. 3 billion names could not be brought back by political reform or military dominance. His daughter would never grow up. His wife would never practice medicine again. His parents would never see the new galaxy their sacrifice had created. He spent his retirement working with reconstruction projects and speaking at remembrance ceremonies. Young humans who had survived the invasion would ask him if the revenge was worth it. He always answered honestly, "We did not seek revenge. We sought security. We wanted to ensure that no other species would look at Earth and see easy prey. We wanted the galaxy to understand that humanity remembers, that we pursue justice across any distance, that attacking our world creates enemies who will never forgive, never forget, never stop until accounts are balanced. Was it worth it? Ask me again in 100 years when Earth stands unthreatened and strong." The new galactic order proved unstable in places. Some species chafed under human oversight. Others plotted rebellion or sought allies to challenge Earth's dominance. The peace was maintained through constant vigilance and willingness to use force when necessary. Captain Ross, now Admiral Ross, commanded the enforcement fleets. She approached the duty without satisfaction but with absolute commitment. Humanity had learned the cost of weakness. They would not repeat that mistake. The memorial walls grew longer as new names were added. Human soldiers who died maintaining the peace. Diplomats assassinated by resistance movements. Civilians caught in retaliatory attacks from species that refused to accept the new reality. Each name represented another price paid for Earth's security. Officer Pell visited Earth regularly, updating his historical documentation. He interviewed survivors and veterans, recorded changing perspectives, tracked how the war shaped future generations. His work would eventually fill archives that would be studied for centuries. On the 5th anniversary of the ultimatum, Cole stood before the largest memorial in New Geneva. 3 billion names surrounded him in concentric circles carved into stone. The sun set behind the monuments, casting long shadows across names that would never answer. "You attacked our world," he said quietly to the empty air. "We brought the war to yours, and the galaxy will remember both." The wind carried his words away across a planet still healing. Above, human warships maintained their eternal watch. Below, a species that had been victims transformed themselves into guardians. The price was terrible, the necessity was absolute, and the memory would last forever.